What's happening, guys? So it appears that Luis Diaz is all set to sign for Liverpool, and I have to admit that I, as a Man United supporter, am absolutely fucking gutted by this news. I've been following this lad closely for the last couple of seasons, and make no mistake about it, he is dynamite. Now, I don't think Liverpool were really planning on any incomings for this January transfer window, but their hand was more or less forced by Tottenham. He saw them making a move. Jurgen Klopp decided to intervene and land his main target for the summer. Brought the deal forward. I'm sure it's going to be announced in the next 24 to 48 hours. Nothing official as of yet, but the fact that their mouthpiece, they being Liverpool, Joyce and Pierce have tweeted it on their official accounts means that it is very much imminent. Now, the fee that's being touted is 37.5 million quid. This is fucking mind-boggling. You know, he's worth double that at the very minimum. Benfica sold Joao Felix, who obviously being younger went for a bigger fee, but triple the price for a player who's done half as much as Diaz domestically. It makes no sense whatsoever. Now, Sporting and Benfica supporters are obviously over the moon, but FC Porto fans are losing their collective minds, and rightly so. You know, he's their talisman, probably the best player they've had in the last decade. Yet here they are getting rid of him when they are flying high in this season. They're undefeated domestically, look like they're going to win the title again. But now after this, you know, Sporting are right back in it. They could retain what they won last season. It's all up in the air. Crazy, crazy time. He's been penciled in for a medical in Barranquilla following their World Cup qualifying game against Peru. They unfortunately lost, but they are still very much in the running for World Cup qualification for Qatar 2022. Liverpool have been busy bantering Spurs on Twitter. I'll put the link up on my screen right now. They have fucking buried this lot. I don't know what is up with North London club and transfer windows. They just embarrass themselves time and time again. It is getting beyond ridiculous. They're linked with Kulusevski now. Let's see if they can land him. A bit about this player. At 17, he was an unknown quantity. You know, you see a lot of players who are wonder kids from the very get-go. They're being monitored by clubs all around the world. No one knew about this guy. He was severely underweight and just playing on some dusty pitch in a remote village. Extremely humble beginnings. He grew up in a mining settlement, no TV, none of that. He was pretty much skint. He's come from an indigenous background. He got spotted playing football on one of these really low-quality pitches. Got called in for a trial which had 400 kids in it and only 25 got selected. They thought he was extremely skinny, but he impressed anyway, so they gave him a chance. He got selected by Bogota. When he was over there, then Colombian legend Carlos Valderrama spotted him during a training session, gave him a trial at a second division side called Barranquilla. They said to him that, you know, they like what they see, but he's got to pack on the pounds, gained 10 kilos, gave him a high protein diet, and he started performing at quite a high level then. Atletico Junior signed him up in 2017, and from then on, it's been an onwards and upwards trajectory. Porto, as they usually do, scouted through the South American market, decided to go for this guy, and he had options at the time, by the way. Zenit St. Petersburg, obviously in Russia, always competing for the title, and Cardiff City, who at the time were in the Premiership, but he was mature enough to opt for Porto because he'd seen the likes of Radamel Falcao and James Rodriguez go there and really kickstart their career. I say this is mature because these sort of clubs, as well as Borussia Dortmund, they're just the best if you're a young and upcoming player. You know, a lot of guys are impatient, make the move too quickly, and things just falter. He very much made the right choice. It is beneficial for all parties concerned. His selling club in South America, Porto themselves, they're going to get a great fee. They've had a great player over the years. And for the individual player themselves, they've developed, done a lot for the club, and now can move on to the next level. Just great stuff. I was stunned that no one made a move for him in the summer because in the Copa America, he lit that fucking tournament up. Joint top scorer with Lionel Messi, and he scored against both the giants in Brazil and Argentina. Couple of crackers in the third place game against Peru as well. That shot him up to the limelight. Not only did he become a hero back home in his village, but just the country of Colombia in general. Instead of becoming big-headed or, you know, getting lost, getting too big for his boots, he celebrated this achievement by going back to his village in La Juera and just kicking about with his friends and family. That really shows you the character of the man, and I'm sure Liverpool scouts really looked into this, you know, his background, his humility, the sort of place that he's come from. It's extremely important in a Jurgen Klopp side. It's not about, you know, someone just stat padding. It is the team as a whole and what they can achieve. They are very much more than the sum of their parts, as they've shown time and time again. In terms of actual specifics about this guy, I'm sure some of you are already aware, right-footed left winger. But one thing that's really interesting is that not only is he an inside forward, but he can stay out wide as well. That brings a lot of tactical flexibility, especially with the way that he can help stretch the games. He's got acceleration, speed, and an ability to change directions in abundance. Makes him extremely unpredictable. I'm certain you've seen clips of him doing skills, just skipping past people for fun. Technically very gifted, capable of the spectacular. Some of his goals are just unreal. You know, bicycle kicks, scissor kicks, long range shots, you name it. Off the ball runs are great as well. He's generally involved quite well in build up. Tactically very astute, which is not always the case with these players who come from, you know, backgrounds which don't really have much coaching. He's just a joy to watch. It's pretty much my favorite kind of player to view, which is why I've been following him so closely. His two, well, I wouldn't even call them weaknesses, but areas for improvement are: one, his passing. You know, he's going to have to get used to the fact that he's no longer going to be the main man for Colombia and FC Porto. He very much is right now. Mo Salah, the best player on the planet, is going to be his teammate soon. He's going to have to get used to the fact that, you know, playing second fiddle is something that he'll have to adjust to over these next few months. That means a lot more interplay and, you know, taking a step back. Another slightly concerning aspect is his pressing game. It's not as much as you'd expect it to be. You know, he does track back, but going forward and stopping the defenders when they have the ball isn't something that I've really seen in his game. I'm sure Jurgen Klopp is going to instill that in him, because Mane, Salah, all these guys, when they signed, they didn't really have that, but now it is there in abundance. Been a really good season for him. You know, when he didn't get signed during the Copa America, or rather following the Copa America, clubs were probably waiting to see how he did domestically, and he has been killing it. You know, 16 goals in 28 games, including 6 assists. I've put up some of the stats and some of the things that he's done lately. They are just unbelievable. Some highlights that I can, you know, point out straight away are, firstly, against Estoril in the Portuguese league. They're 2-0 down. Looks like they're dead and buried. He gets an assist, goal and assist. 3 goals, wins the game. That is probably the most memorable domestically in Europe. Scored home and away against AC Milan. That's no mean feat. Milan, they're no longer mugs. You know, they've got a decent side. They're very much competing for the Serie A. So huge praise for him for doing that. He's obviously played against Liverpool this season as well. I thought he shone. It's just that his teammates weren't quite up to it. But it definitely made, you know, it played a factor in him eventually signing for this club. Other clip that's really doing the rounds is his solo goal against Manchester City. Unbelievable stuff, you know, skips past 4 or 5, doesn't try and shoot too early, waits all the way, and then smashes it past Ederson into the bottom right-hand corner. From Liverpool's perspective, they'll be looking to ease the player in. You know, Jota and Tsimikas, they've hardly put a foot wrong, but it's difficult for them to start ahead of the likes of Firmino and Andy Robertson. They still get given game time, not only because of their current talent, but everything that they've brought over these last couple of seasons. So I'm sure it's going to be a bit of a transition, especially given the fact he's had no preseason. Some players do adapt like a duck to water. We saw Bruno Fernandes do that from Sporting to Man United, but he was made the main man straight away. In this lad's case, it's going to take a little bit more of a while. He could be given a chance earlier. You know, Mane at AFCON, he suffered the concussion. I'm not sure how serious that is. He will be fatigued from that tournament, and he's obviously had a bit of a dip in form. Not to say that he's not a great player anymore. He's still wonderful, but not quite at the level that we've seen in previous seasons. This could be great for Mane as well. You know, a real kick up the ass, a bit more competition. We saw it with Luke Shaw last season. He was tragic. Alex Telles signs, and then he was the best fullback for the season. Obviously, things are up in the air now, but it is an example of what competition can do. Liverpool have needed depth. You know, that has always been the criticism labeled towards them. Now they have 5 quality attacking players that they can interchange with at ease. Manchester City often run away because of this, and Jurgen Klopp has had to throw away these English domestic cups over these last few seasons. You know, in the League Cup, he always plays a banter lineup full of kids. FA Cup has to do much the same most of the time, throw all his eggs into the European Cup and league title basket. It might not be the case anymore. You know, now they're in the League Cup final, FA Cup. I'm sure they're going to be fighting on all fronts with these new incomings. Previous signings that Liverpool have had attacking-wise, they've pretty much hit the ground running. But you have to remember that most of them had that Premiership experience, whether that was Salah with Chelsea. He did know about the pace and intensity. Mane with Southampton, Jota with Wolves. So it's going to take a while to adapt to the league itself. I'm almost certain of that, but we'll have to just wait and see. It's very tough to predict these things. That's just my opinion entirely. Man City have been incredible in phasing in and out, and replacing legends of the likes of David Silva, Vincent Kompany, Sergio Aguero. It's an extremely sensible thing to do when Salah and Mane, they're approaching 30. Firmino's already 30 himself. That's not to say they're going to turn into bad players overnight, but it's imperative you start planning for the future. We have seen so many players just fall off a cliff after they hit a certain age, and it might be the best time to sell them now to get some sort of fee. Otherwise, you are stuck with them, or they'll run down their contract and then eventually move to another club. So financially and from a footballing perspective, it makes sense. It could also be a case of Mo Salah potentially being sold, Liverpool not caving into his demands. They're getting their signings in early, using it as a negotiation tactic. Like, look, mate, if you want to go, we have the players there and we will sign more to replace you. Lord only knows. Please do let me know what you guys think, particularly Liverpool supporters. You have every reason to be excited. I am going to be watching through gritted teeth as he eventually starts ripping up Premiership fullbacks. Take care, guys. All the best. Have a great weekend.